So let's talk about some of the basics around 401k, some of the things that you need to know. The very first is the limit. Did you know that inside of your 401k this year in 2024, you can defer $23,000 of your salary into a 401k? That means you can say, hey, if I make up a number here. If I make $100,000, I can choose some of my wages, a little bit of today, and I can put it into my 401k to grow for me for the future. If I happen to be someone who's over 50, I can actually save $30,500 into my 401k in 2024.
I figured you'd let me say that part since I actually kind of resembled some of that. But then the other thing, they increased how much you can put in from all sources. If you look at from the employer, the employee salary deferrals, they went up to $69,000 now. And if you get that catch-up contribution, it actually increases it up to $76,500.
So when you think about wealth building, there is a lot of opportunity to build wealth inside of these plans. So let's talk about what are some things that we need to know about, because we've talked about one of the reasons why we love 401ks is because you're not the only one who gets to put money in this thing.
I mean, we think so much of the 401k matches and the employer money. There's a reason. Step 2 of our financial order of operations, if you go to moneyguy.com/resources, you too can download this. But step 2 is employer match. Yep. And the reason that's so powerful is that, think about this. Every dollar that your employer gives you, whether it's 50 cents on the dollar or dollar for dollar, is like a 50% or 100% guaranteed rate of return.
Now, in the past, historically, these contributions always had to go in pre-tax, even if you were contributing on the Roth side. But it is important to note with Secure Act 2.0, employers can now actually offer matching contributions on the Roth side. You will have to pay tax, but it is something to know about a new law that's recently changed. So matching contributions are one type of employer contribution that can go into your plan. There's another type of contribution that you ought to know about that's called a non-elective contribution. This is where the employer will put money into your 401k whether you put money in or not. So a lot of times you'll see it structured where even if I put in $0, my employer is going to put 3% of my compensation into my 401k every single year. So even if you're not saving for your future, there's a chance your employer might be saving for your future.
And then, of course, the third basket is profit sharing. It's not uncommon for your employer at the end of the year, and that's why this typically is funded the year after, so be careful with this, is they will take a portion of their profit and put it into their retirement plan.
Now, one of the things that they do is the government says, okay, if employers are going to put money into the plan on your behalf, we might allow the employer some flexibility into the strings or into the handcuffs they put on this. So a lot of times they put vesting conditions on employer contributions. Now, it's important to note that whenever you put money into a 401k, whenever you say, I'm going to do a salary deferral, I'm going to put money into this account, your money is always 100% vested. Any money that you put into the account, even if you were to leave that employer tomorrow, the next day, next year, you get to take those dollars with you. However, there's a chance that if the employer's putting money into your account on your behalf, there might be some strings attached that you need to know about, and often it's in terms of vesting. So the very first one we'll talk about are safe harbor contributions. Safe harbor contributions most often are usually 100% immediately invested. So if you put money in and your employer's doing either a safe harbor match or they're doing a non-elective safe harbor, there's a really good chance that you are immediately vested in those dollars. Now, there are some circumstances where that's not the case, but in most cases, that money is yours the day it goes into the account.
I think if I'm a person, I'm like, what the safe harbor? And why would an employer put money in that's 100% vested from day one? I think it's important for you to understand the context of why these things exist. The government has tried to incentivize employers to take the strings off of this matching money so that you get to keep more of it. And the carrot that they put out to employers to encourage this is they say, hey, if you will offer this safe harbor, we won't require as much testing and all this other compliance stuff in the background. So take advantage of that. That's a great thing. Not only is your contribution 100% vested, those safe harbor contributions will also be 100% vested right from get-go.
Now, another type of vesting that you need to know about is cliff vesting. And this is where the contributions your employer puts in are 100% vested after you've been employed for some certain period of time. So it's not uncommon to say, okay, once you've worked here for 3 years, then all of your employer contributions are vested. Or if you happen to be in a plan that has vesting on Safe Harbor, there's often a 2-year cliff vesting for that Safe Harbor. But as soon as you've worked there for at least that amount of time, you are then 100% vested in those dollars, which means if you change employment, if you leave jobs, if you want to roll it over, you get to take all that money with you.
Well, think about this, because like the cliff vesting, the government is basically, when they put out guidelines or the way they allow companies to design these retirement plans, they say, yeah, if you want to, you can go from nothing to all at once, but that's got to be a shorter period of time. And that's why you will see a lot of plans take this third one, which is more of the graded vesting, which is saying, hey, okay, after 2 years, we'll give you 20%, after 3 years, 40%, and you carry on until it gets to 100% after 5-6 years. Yep. That is what you see with a lot of employers. But here's something that I think is important, Bo, and I'll let you clarify this. You might actually have a mix of this, where some stuff is 100% immediately, and then some of the stuff has that graded vesting. How do you balance that?
One of the great things you can do is most 401k websites, you can go in and you can look at your sources. You can see, how much do I have in employee contributions? How much do I have in Safe Harbor? How much do I have in profit sharing? And most 401k statements and most 401k websites will show you how vested you are in those. So if you are someone who's thinking about a job change or thinking about a career change, this should be one of the things that you look at, because we love when you do not leave money on the table. You would hate to leave just a few weeks early or just a few months early from your current job and leave money behind that you could have taken with you as you go to your next endeavor.